Oh, hello, Chris! Woohoo! Super happy that you're here. Chris is in the room. Thank you very much. I just don't see you. Let me give you access. Uh, oh, wait. I just think. Yes, man. I see you.
Hi. I see you too.
Wonderful, man. Thank you. Kat, who is the executive assistant, was like, Gerard, he hasn't answered any of my emails. Like, don't worry, it's going to be fine. And he was just calling me crazy now.
I'm good. I'm ready to go. What are we
Thank
doing
you.
today?
Thank you very much, because we have a lot of people coming up. The session is going to be in English, but most of the people here, it's hopefully in Spanish, but everywhere actually. But it's funny because I invite a lot of people like Grant Cardone, Neil Patel, and a lot of big guys like you. But this time it's like a lot of people saying, yeah, I know Chris does so well, man. Thank you very much, because it's super exciting. And a lot of people, they know you. Thank you very much for being in the show. Well, for everyone, Chris, though, is one of those, I think, super mega designers who it's not a designer. He's much more than that. And he believed that God is a designer. Chris, welcome to the show, and thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Chris. I just would like to know for everyone, how is the transition from you being a designer to what I see you going now, which is more like an influencer. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in the show.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Is that a question, or is that just a topic that we're going to be talking about?
Things will come up, man. Things, when it's got around, things just comes up all the way. The group is about growth hacking and Upbound, and we love things to talk about hacks. And you talk a lot about hacks on how to get 10,000 Instagram followers per week. Anything that sounds like how to get followers, how to learn, how to understand how your mind works. Anything is fine. We want to know you a little bit more.
Sure. Okay, so should I answer a question, or are we still waiting for people to come in, or what's the deal?
Oh no, you can start if they're late, man. There is no. That's it. Sorry for them if they're late. Christian, one of the first things, how I met you was thanks to this.
Yeah. What is that? Tell me about that.
What happened after that post, I swapped, because they say fake it until you make it, and I thought I was sometimes faking that, things go so well, but thanks to your post, now I understand what means fake it until you make it. Please explain to the world, man, because you really opened my eyes in that.
Okay, so as creative people, and maybe just as human beings in general, we have an allergic reaction to the word fake. It just means it's not real, it's inauthentic, it's not genuine, and you're an imposter. You're creating fraudulent things. But they're taking the expression fake it till you make it totally out of context. I think what they think in their mind is, when I fake it, I'm telling people I can do things, I could be things, and I could deliver on results that I never can and I have no intention of doing. And that's just honest, and let's just call that what that is. But really, what fake it till you make it means, this is an internal belief. This means that everybody starts out as an amateur at some point. We're all beginners. Even the most professional athletes in the world all begin as beginners. And what they do is they visualize in their mind being great. They think about being standing in the center of the ring with their hands raised in the air, like, I'm the champion of the world in this weight division. And then they work like hell to get there. This is not about proclaiming I'm already the champion when you're just starting out in your journey. It's an internal belief system. So this is why you have to be able to believe something in order to achieve something. This is it.
It's funny because sometimes we imagine, we share with the world things like we really want to share, and then haters come along. It's like, man, you're fake, and how can we avoid that internal feeling? And what your recommendations will be on that?
Yeah, I get this question actually quite a bit from people who are struggling with this, because we're susceptible to external influences and opinions of people. And I think the reason why we give credence to these criticisms, these trolls that come out, is because some part of us believes that that might actually be true. For example, I'm 5'8". Okay. If somebody tells me I'm 3 foot tall, I don't really care because I know that that's not true. That's objectively not true. Conversely, if they say I'm 7'2", I know that that's also not true. And so for these criticisms to take root inside your mind, I think some part of you actually allows that belief to be true. Therefore, it can hurt you. So if somebody calls me a Martian, I'm not affected by that because I know I'm not from Mars. That's just plain and simple. And so when somebody's like, you know, you're not very good. Okay, now it's getting into this very subjective space where it's like this could cut you wide open. And I think they believe in their own mind, you know, I'm not that good. I'm not that good compared to my heroes. I'm not that good compared to where I want to be. There's that gap that exists between where you are today and where you'd like to be. And so they allow those ideas to kind of live inside their mind. And this is where I think if we can all make the deliberate and intentional practice of starting to figure out who we are, knowing both our strengths and our weaknesses, we can all ascend in that confidence ladder. See, so to me, true confidence isn't to say that all the things that I'm terrible at, I pretend that I'm good. True confidence is knowing that this is what I'm really good at, and this part I know sucks. So if you say to me, you suck, all I can do is agree with you. I know those parts are not that good. So it's having that balanced perspective. And what we often mistake is when we see somebody acting and behaving a certain way, where they stand out with their chest forward and they walk around with a certain swagger and they put people down and they're very aggressive and abrasive. And we think that's what confidence looks like. So that person we label as arrogant. I think it's the complete opposite. When those people are walking around like that, they are trying to cover up. They're trying to mask the things that they know they're not good at. And so they have to make a point to tell everybody in the room, either in social media or physically in the same room as them, oh, I'm so good, I'm so rich, I'm so successful, I'm so happy in my marriage and my life, and I'm such a great parent. They say all these things, but that's not where true confidence comes from. If you look at the most confident people in the world, and I think of somebody like the Dalai Lama or certain yogis, where they're very at peace and they're very humble in their appearance and in the way that they speak, their demeanor. They're not flashy at all because they don't need to be.
Could
So
it
I
be
think
that they're making it until they fake it until they make it?
probably, I think that's where we get the bad reaction. Those people are just really just truly faking it, but it's really just an internal belief. That's all.
I love the way this is going, and you know, I was learning more about you, and more surprising things were coming. Things like you came out from your agency plan, which we're going to talk about. But what surprised me is about you, what you're doing now with Future. It's like, yeah, drop the ego, and you have the Future. It's like, oh my God, you know, it's such a cool name, man. Tell me how these things come up. What books are you reading? The I don't know, what books are you reading, man, to come up with these ideas?
Okay. The idea behind the Future is actually really simple. And you guys all know this. If you're trying to come up with a name that isn't your own name for your company, it's a really difficult process. And we go through literally hundreds of names and we sit there and we think about it. So I had a few criteria. When I'm thinking about a name, I think about how I have to say it. So this is really important. A lot of people design their company name and they don't think about how it's going to be used in the real world. So for example, if I meet somebody and I say to them, hi, my name is Chris, I'm from the future. Hey, that kind of sounds cool. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Future Conference. Welcome to your future. And it starts to work and it sounds good because I know the use is going to be mostly verbal, where I meet somebody and I talk to them, or I'm introducing a guest on the show or kicking off a conference. I like the way that sounds. But of course, the word future is kind of broad and generic and we can't own that name. So we have to change it. We have to modify it. This is what designers do, right? So we're thinking, okay, I love the typeface Futura. The Futura. Okay, I just change the letter a little bit. And then as it goes on, people are like, why do you spell it that way? And now you have to come up with marketing. This is pure marketing, okay? It's like, how do you spell it? So what you want to do is give everybody a repeatable story. Okay, a story that's easy to tell, that they can turn to the next person in the room and tell them that story. This is how stories spread. And if your story spreads better than your competitor, you grow and they don't. So we just say this, we're from the future, and it's spelled exactly the same way, except for you drop the E, you drop the ego, and it just works just like that.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I like because you say spread the story, and then this is how you're going to come to reach to 7 billion people. Tell me a little bit about that, man. Seven
Yeah.
billion is big
Well, it's
number.
1 billion. It's
Ah,
1 billion.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. It's one
That's
billion.
everybody in the world, right? Every human alive.
Exactly. Well, might be one day.
Who knows? Who knows?
Tell
I
me.
also, yeah, I also believe in this idea that what we should do is we should have big, hairy, audacious goals. A BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. We want to think of ourselves in the future, like when it's like our last day on earth and we're in bed and we're about to pass away. What have you done with your life? How do you measure your life? And we keep thinking about that. I'm watching this video, and it's with a guy named Jason Silva. He's super, like, he talks about flow state, so he can get on the stage and talk without interruption, without hiccup, without scripts or slides. And he's talking about this idea. He's like, in the 21st century, the new billionaire is not going to be measured by the number of dollars and cents that they have in an account. The new billionaire is going to be measured by number of lives impacted positively. And that really hit me hard. I heard that and I felt that. I said, you know what? I too want to be a billionaire under this definition. And I also know something, that if you help people, some form of that will come back to you. Who knows when, how, where, why. If you can impact the lives of 1 billion people, you will not only be rich in your bank account, but you'll also be wealthy in the truest sense. Like, you created something good for people. And so I started thinking, okay, I will want to impact 1 billion lives, because that's what it's going to require to be a billionaire. So we put that information out there. We want to help creatives learn how to make money. So we want to teach them the skills that they need, not only creatively, but from an entrepreneur business mindset, a whole philosophy, a way of life and living, that they can achieve whatever success that they want.
And coming to this, which I love the way, and you teaching them by YouTube, how much was the last logo you made?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was the first video that really broke through.
It's 2.4 million, isn't it? Something like
Yeah.
this.
Mm-hmm. And that was, that was an unplanned episode, if you believe
I
it.
know, I love it. I love the way the video was made.
Yeah.
But my designer, she never cares who I interview. She's amazing, but she never cares the marketing guys. And this time it's like, wow, Crystal, really? Really? It's like, yeah, man, you got excited, my designer. Really, that's unbelievable.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's just like we're trying to help people have a healthier conversation with themselves, and then have that with the client. So we have really bad relationships with money. We have negative associations. Like, if somebody's successful, they were handed something. They had a head start on us. They they came from a wealthy family. They sold out. They're doing dishonest things, because our association with creativity is you have to suffer. And I just think if that's the manifestation of creativity, boy, there's no reason why you would want to be a creative person in the first place. Like, I want to be a successful creative person. I look, there's some really strong negative associations with money. And like I read in the book, money's not everything, but it's like oxygen. You kind of need it.
Oops.
And somebody else would say, money is the currency of respect. So when a client respects you more, they pay you more. And I think we can accept that.
I
If you
love it.
respect somebody,
Money is the currency of
respect.
respect.
Yeah.
Respect. I'm just writing everything down, man. It's like, I love it. And what you said before about being in my deathbed. Is it the guy from Traction who did this exercise in the book? I think lie in bed and see how you're going to see yourself when you die. Something like that. Who is the
Yeah,
name?
I don't have that reference, but I know that Bronnie Ware did an amazing piece on this. If you guys want to look up, she's an Australian nurse, Bronnie Ware, and she was in a particular part of the hospital where they take care of people who are terminally ill, that they're going to die, that there's no cure for them. And she would make conversation with them. And then she started to ask them questions like, what is the biggest regret? What's something that you wanted to do that you never did? And it's quite interesting when you start to look at your life at the end, what kind of clarity that you have. And it's an exercise that a lot of people have. They say like, what is the tombstone going to say? What is the obituary page going to say about you and your life? And then when you look at the end of your life, you have to kind of think, was it all about chasing money, cars, girls, whatever it is that you were chasing, did that matter at all? And I think then you start to think about the relationships that you have and the people lives who you've touched. I think that's how they're going to measure your life at the end of the day.
It's funny because I don't know, Chris, I think a year or 2 or 3 years ago, when you were at Blind designing for amazing companies, and it looked like a very successful business. But seeing you now, man, it's like such an amazing transition, just like by doing some work as an agency, which is amazing. You know, you had Nike and other good customers. What's the feeling? And were you like in the beginning of this transition, were like, what the fuck I'm doing? You know, why did you change so much? And what's the energy behind all this?
Okay, so I started Blind as an agency to do motion design. We basically made commercials and music videos for some of the biggest clients and brands in the world in 1995. So I've been at this game for 24 plus years. In the beginning of my career, like many creative people, I wanted to work on really sexy, cool projects for really big brands. So I can say to my friends and my family, hey, I worked on that project for Nike, for Jaguar, for Land Rover, or whatever it is that we're going to say, for Microsoft, Xbox. And they were like, oh, so you're in the beginning of your life and your career, you're looking for like to gain credibility and to gain social status, but it's really just about you then. And the work was cool. And I got to work with some really great, talented people. And that's one of the most proud things that I have. My proudest moments is that I was able to assemble some incredibly talented people and help to move them from point A to point B, meaning less experience to more experience, less confident to more confident, and to do work that matters to them. But after you do this for a while and you win awards and you're published nationally and internationally.
Emmy award, come on, don't say an award. Come on, I know we'll talk about that later, but it's not an award, it's an Emmy award. I know it's a trick behind that, but don't worry. I like
But it's like after that, it's like you're just chasing like smoke. Like, what are you chasing now? To make more money, to do more projects, and you think your life is going to change. Like you win something or you work on a project that has like some national attention to it. That from that point forward, your life changes, but it doesn't. And you just keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and it feels like you're running on a treadmill. Like it feels like a lot of work, but you're not really moving anywhere. And about 4 years ago, I run into my friend Jose Caballero, and he says, Chris, let's do something together. Let's make content on YouTube. And I was very reluctant to do it. This is not a plan. And I had a lot to lose at that time, meaning that if I said something horrible and it's out there in the universe, you know, it's like, it's not real until you hit publish. And once you hit publish, you can never put the genie back in the bottle. And so I was very concerned. And I'm a behind the camera kind of guy, not in front of camera. I'm used to directing. I'm used to storyboarding. I'm used to saying, hey guys, let's move this around and you need to hit your mark. Okay, now I'm in front of the camera and I'm feeling really awkward, but something wonderful happens as the videos get better. So does the audience, and they're starting to tune in. They're starting to pay attention. And then I realized something. One of my biggest goals in life is to become a great teacher. And I've taught at this point for over 15 years at some of the best private art schools, Art Center, Otis, Cal Arts, all over. And I was thinking, but this is just to a few people. How can I share what it is that I know? How can I help more people by using the energy and talent that I have? And so then we started making these videos, and this process has been completely transformative to me, my life, personally, spiritually, just financially. It has changed everything about what it is that we do.
And everyone, please, I'm sure there are a few designers, go to academy.future.de and you will have thefuture.com, and you'll have some amazing courses. This is not pay. He doesn't want me to promote or anything, but please, this is a way of helping Christoph for being here. academy.thefuture.com,
Yes.
and it's a lot of amazing courses for everyone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that pays the bills afterwards,
It does pay the bills. Thank you.
A little bit of promotion because we give so much value for free, and it's nice. Also, when you started we've been starting YouTube, man. It's been crazy. We have very little views out here. It's like, don't worry, man. But you say it takes 4 to 5 years. It takes time to build a channel, and you just have to be persistent. Also, I'd like to know a little bit about Instagram, man, because I love the content. And I'm not just like, yeah, I really like it. You just did a different way. Usually people do pictures of themselves with happy people. You just like content you're giving it's like, I would say it's like poetry and illustration. Tell me a little bit how you get the ideas, how many followers you get per week, and a few hacks for the group.
Yes, absolutely. We can go deep on this, as deep as you want to go. Like many people, I didn't know what to do on Instagram. I'm busy like on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and I'm thinking, gosh, what do I do with this Instagram thing? I do want to grow, but I can't figure out how to grow. And I do what everybody does. I start to think in exceptions, right? Like, oh, Instagram's made for, like, if you're really beautiful, if you're really fit, if you have big muscles, if you're gorgeous and you're very fashion forward, if you know how to take beautiful photos, if you're an adventure seeker. That doesn't sound like me at all. It does not sound like me. So I don't know what to do. I have this guest. His name is Michael Janda, and he's on the show. And in order for me to have him on the show, I have to do research, just like you, Gerard. I have to do some research. And I'm looking at his Instagram, and I can see like it's okay. And then it gets really good. And then he's using these carousels. So I have him on the show. We start talking about this, and he tells me how successful carousels have been, which is basically a 10-slide sequence in Instagram. And I told him, you know what? I'm inspired by what you've done. And you're the first person I've seen who's trying to teach on Instagram. And it's because he had a book, and he wrote a book, and he's trying to distill the knowledge from the book down. And it made a lot of sense because that's a great way to promote your book. You break down multiple chapters and pages into tiny little posts, micro content, easy to consume, creates interest in the book. I thought this was wonderful. So I told my team, right after we aired the live stream, I told my team, everybody stop what you're doing, make carousels, go teach, grow our Instagram account. A week goes by, 2 weeks goes by. Well, long story short, they didn't post anything. And eventually I just get pissed off. I'm like, guys, why isn't anybody doing this? You have to act like when it's hot, you have to strike. And I think to myself, I've done dozens, not 100 lectures, but I have decks. I have over 100 decks. I really do. And if Instagram is just 10 slides, I have thousands of slides then, maybe 10,000 slides. I have a lot of slides. So I start adapting my keynote decks into Instagram carousel posts. And what happens? I mean, I know this is not for everybody, but it was instantaneous. As soon as I dropped the first carousel slide, my follows grew. The engagement grew. I was like, I think I'm onto something. I found the perfect platform for me. I like to teach. I'm a visual person. I like to design. I put all that stuff together and I put out the slides. And it's skyrocketed my growth. I went from 60, 70,000 followers to 120, 130 to 250,000 in a matter of months. And I'm now moving past all of my heroes, the influencers that I looked up to. And I was thinking, this is nuts. So now I post maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, and I still get on average over 4,000 follows per week for doing little to no work. It's because for a period of 30 days, I posted once, sometimes twice a day for 30 days. And it helped me to grow a following, and it created this library of content. So people are still discovering me, and it's pretty cool.
And I love it. Today, actually, when I was checking today about you, something came up from Neil Patel, and he's actually using your carousels, man. It looks like your post. It was actually thanks to Eric Sue. I met you a few weeks ago, and we're going to do that, man. Just to let you know,
See?
thanks for the inspiration. And it seems so easy in a way. You say, yeah, I posted for 30 days. I think it was two
Twice a
posts,
day. Yeah.
twice a day.
Mhm.
And if anyone is listening, and if they're not the designers like me, well, we have a team of designers. But imagine that I don't have a designer. How the hell I'm doing it?
Okay. It's not that hard. The way that you're able to do this is to create a template. Like, I believe in process and templatizing things. So I created a keynote deck. I spent a little bit of time. Now, obviously, I'm experienced doing keynote decks, and that's my program of choice for creating carousels. And people are like, why don't you use Photoshop? Why don't you use Illustrator? I like, first of all, the constraint. You don't get caught up in the details, because Keynote is a block and tackle kind of program. It's not a finesse program. It's not about doing refined kerning and tracking and letter spacing and all. You can't do that in Keynote, not easily at least. So it makes you focus on the big ideas. So first of all, create a template and think about the 4 or 5 kinds of slides that you're going to use. You're going to want the headline, the thing that gets you attention. You're going to want a call to action. So design that slide. There you go. And then design like a bullet point one, and just some things that have big text. A key mistake to avoid is do not design it on full screen, because you realize the way that people consume it is like that big, right? So what I do is I zoom all the way out in Keynote, and I work that way. And it forces me to make sure that this content is legible and it's quick. It needs to be like that. So people design their keynote, their Instagram slides like they do their keynotes, which is 100 bullet points. How am I going to read that? That's a big turnoff. So there's a satisfaction and a joy and momentum that happens like when you swipe and when you swipe. So when you get stuck, there's a good chance people are going to bounce. So think about the usability, right? And somewhere around the fifth or sixth slide, it's like at this point, they want to know the ending to the story. Okay, so you've got them past that point. You've done a good job. Now, when they get to the end of the story, it better be a satisfying conclusion. It better be something good. You have to teach me something new or tell me something old in a new way. And if you don't do that, you're going to lose me. I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to feel irritated that you're using a carousel and you haven't added any value to my life. I feel offended, actually. So think about that. So okay, so that's the structure. That's how you kind of have to think about your post on social media. Now, what is it that you should post? So please don't do this. Please don't just go on Instagram, be inspired by something, and try to find your own way of saying the exact same thing. And so the first person who does it gets the maximum impact and value, right? Boom, it's dropped. The second person does it, it's a smaller drop. It's like, boom. And then at the point in which you do it, it's like, ping. It's like, you're just a me too. You're just sheep. You're just rushing in and you don't even know what it is that you're talking about. You felt it, so you reposted kind of the same content. That's not a way to grow follows. And then if you're not getting results, that's probably why. What you should do is this. You should look at that post and say, I wonder what books they were reading, what lectures they were watching, what movies inspired them, what was their creative process, what's their intention and motivation behind this post. If you can get into that mindset, go back to the source. Austin Kleon talks about this. He's like, it's the genealogy of ideas. Like, you have a parent and they have parents, that's your grandparents and great grandparents. Ideas are the same thing. They come from some source. Go back up the tree, the family tree of idea, and go back to the source so you can interpret it your own way. If you do that, you're going to add something new to the conversation and you're going to learn something. That's the whole point. I post mostly to learn what it is that I know.
And also what we teach, we learn in a way, isn't it? And I think I do sometimes, I also do courses and teaching about doing outbound marketing. And sometimes when I'm teaching, it's like, yeah, I need to redo it and I need to do it even more than I learn it. And I think it's a beautiful way. Teaching is the best way of learning. And also you fake it and you make it. It's all, I don't know if it has happened to you. Okay, you go to a course, you say like, oh, life is amazing, you're showing all your best, and then you go back like, fuck, is it really true sometimes? Has it ever happened like you have that little post-frustration of, I don't know, if a course or something you're giving? I don't
Wait,
know
I
if
don't know the question.
Sorry?
Can you repeat the question? I don't quite
Yeah, my
understand.
question was how, if you have any, when you go to a show, well, I would say like a
Conference?
presentation. Yeah, thanks, to a conference, hundreds of people, and then you present how amazing everything you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like little warm of frustration comes in. It's like, well, you're really doing that so well. Do you know all the tricks, Gerard? Has, has it happened to you? And if it yes, how do you deal with it?
Okay. So
I would
are you
I would say post-conference depression. I don't know if you heard of that.
post-conference depression? Interesting. And
Yes, I have it. I have it met sometimes after conferences.
okay, where's that coming from?
It's something like it's I should have done it better. Or
Oh, yes, I know what you're saying. Yes. Okay, this is natural. Okay, now I know what you're
yes,
talking about. Yes, 100%. Okay, there's two ways to interpret this. That you go on stage and you say something and you're like, oh, I didn't tell that story that well, or,
yeah.
you made a better point and that was stupid. I messed up that part. And then you beat yourself up over it and you're like, oh, you idiot.
I'm not going to do it again. You know, I go to SAS Talk, which is an amazing conference, and they invite me, and I go and I'm speaking with my Spanish English. It's amazing. And when I come out, I say, "Fuck, I did so bad, man,"
Right.
and it's terrible, you know.
Okay.
And I say, I'm not going to go again ever to any conference.
Until they invite you again and you're like, I'm back. Okay. This is totally, I get it. Okay, both you and I, English is our second language. We're not native English speakers. So the fact that you can even speak English and be coherent is an amazing skill in itself, okay?
Thanks, man.
So we need to keep that in mind, okay? Because it's not easy, because you may be thinking in Spanish and the words come out in English. It's not an easy thing, okay? So what we want to do is we don't want to focus on us. Where we get depressed, where the ego comes from, is we think about like, oh, I should have been better. My English should be better. I should be better looking, smoother, better presentation. Oh, the other person made better slides than me. And oh, that was the neat thing they did on stage and I'm not that good. If we shift our energy away from us and we shift it towards the other person, meaning the people who showed up, if you focus on their reaction, if you focus on the value that they got, the whole dynamic changes. Because what inevitably happens, and I'm sure you get the same thing, a small group of people will come up to you and say, I love that story that you shared. It really helped me. You're very inspiring. I learned 3 new things from you today. I can't wait to apply what it is that you shared. You do it for them and you shift the focus away from you to the audience. And it's a wonderful feeling then. So I used to get nervous, and to some degree, I still get a little nervous before I speak, because I thought about myself the whole time. I was like, God, I just want to be good. I want to be better than everybody. And it's a very egotistical way of thinking about things. My new attitude is like, I think I have something valuable to share, and I hope I can help 1 or 2 people in the audience. And if I could do that, I've done my job, right? They pay good money and they're spending time to sit here. I just want to give them value. So unlike a lot of speakers, I tell almost no backstory. I show almost none of our work, and I just try and teach. And I'm learning that may not be the best way to do it, but I'm like all content. It's like in the sandwich, it's all meat. There's no bread, there's no lettuce, there's no cheese. It's just meat. And it's sometimes too much for people. Now, what I do,
Good
okay,
one. Too much for people. Does it? I seen some of your YouTubes. I think one of them about how to get 10K Instagram. You were going like subject. Tell me, how about if you give too much content? Doesn't it say sometimes you get too much, man? That's not good to get too much. What about that?
my wife critiques me on this all the time. She's like, honey, that was good, but it's so dense. Like, can people learn that much? I said, well, you know what? Here's the difference. When it's captured on video, it's not too much because you can rewatch it, right? If it's a live performance, never to be taped, never to be seen again, it could be too much. And I've seen people like my friend Joe Pilger, who speaks on stage. He focuses on one topic, like one big idea, and he talks about it for 40 minutes. I don't know how to stretch an idea that far. I just don't know how to. So I'll have to figure out the right balance.
We need more meditation, man. do you
Amen.
do you meditate every day? Because I'm sure you do, man. The way you talk, you must be doing a lot of stuff.
You know,
Tell me things.
yeah, people ask me that all the time, and I've never sat down to meditate. I don't do this. Now, I used to think that meditation is like you sit there and you quiet your thoughts so that you can understand what it is you're thinking. And I listened to this talk that this monk gave. Like, he dropped out of society, became a monk, and started to learn about meditation. And he spoke about it. And he said, meditation isn't what you see on TV. You're not sitting around chanting. You're not sitting like with the lotus position with your hand. He's like, it's an awareness of your thoughts. So when he explained it like that, it's not that I'm shutting down my thinking. I'm not trying to empty my mind. I'm just being aware of what I'm thinking and feeling and being very present to it. Then I'm meditating pretty much all the time. Like when I'm in the shower, I sit there and think like, what is it I'm thinking about today? Or when I first wake up in bed or before I go to sleep, I'm thinking about my thoughts all the time.
I love, because it's a funny thing. I have a small little problem because I think it's cool. Nowadays, I want to buy a new car. I'm kind of like focusing on to buy a new car. Which one? Why? Second-hand, new one? Like, just stop focusing on buying a new car. This is like, and the way you talk is like, keep working, get the best one. Which one you want? I want the Tesla X. Okay, just keep working and let it be. And it's such a difference, because if I talk to myself, you're not worth to have the new X and Y.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of what you focus is actually and the self-talk, it's everything. And I think you're very aware of that, and this has helped you to grow where you are, and if you have any tips on self-talk and how much it has impacted you.
Yeah, so you're talking about the negative self-talk, which is very common. It's an affliction that a lot of people suffer from, especially in the creative industry. This negative self-talk is the voice that you hear inside your head that tells you you're not good enough, you don't deserve this, or you're asking for too much, whatever it is. I went to see a therapist, and she asked me this question about the voice that you hear inside your head. And she's like, whose voice is it? And naturally you say, it's my voice. It sounds like me. And she gave me a little exercise to try, right? Gerard, do you have children? Are you married? You have kids?
Okay. I am happily divorced.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a beautiful girlfriend called Sasha, who hopefully is listening now.
Okay. So the way that she tested this, she said, Chris, you have kids? I said, yes, I do. And it says, that voice that you heard inside your head, would you ever say it to your own child? And I'm like, no, I would never say anything like that to my child. And then she's like, so why do you say it to yourself? And then it's like one of those Alfred Hitchcock moments where the camera dollies back and the lens zooms in and my world is tweaking out right now, right? If you guys can imagine that. And it came to the realization that this voice that I've been owning and saying it's my own voice, it's actually not my voice. It's the voice of my parents. Okay, so then I get into researching, and there's a book called Conquering Your Inner Critical Voice, or Your Critical Inner Voice. And I started learning about like why this is, and it becomes super fascinating to me. So when you're growing up, literally you're dependent on your parents for life. If they don't feed you, you die. If they don't clothe you, you die. And so there's this connection with your parents that you start to put them in like God-like status in your mind, in your infant mind, because they control your life. And therefore, when something bad happens in your life, it can't be your parents that did something wrong. It's you. So for example, if your mom's busy and she's had a stressful day and she's tense and stressed out, and then you're like, Mom, can I have a cup of orange juice or something? And she's like, shut up. Can't you see how busy I am? And she blows up on you. And she's human too. And you sit there and you're not processing it like, Mom's had a stressful day. This is a momentary blip. This is on her, and this has nothing to do with me asking for a cup of orange juice. You say to yourself then, I'm bad. I'm impatient. I'm selfish. Like, why can't I do things right? And you take this over a lifetime. What happens is you start to internalize this voice. Like whatever they say, like, why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be more responsible? Why can't you? And don't do this. Don't talk to strangers. Don't trust people. They'll take advantage of you. And it starts to become this soundtrack you hear in your head over and over and over again. So much so that you forgot who said it in the first place. It becomes your own voice. And this is the voice that we have to conquer. We have to have a real conversation with ourselves and to say, whose voice is this? And why should I listen to this? And would I apply this to anybody else except for me? And you know this to be true. We are our own worst critic.
Mm.
So when you want to buy a car, the voice that you should hear in your mind is, you know what? Sometimes, even if it means nothing to anybody, it's nice to have a goal to get just for me. I've worked really hard. I've made lots of sacrifices, and I don't want to go to the grave not having any fun. Do I need this car? No, but I want this car, and my emotional needs are important as well. So if I buy this car, I'm going to remind myself every single day, you're worth it. You need to work hard to pay for this car, and there's reward for the work that you do. There has to be, because otherwise, why do you get up in the morning? Why do you stay up late at night? Why do you put so much of yourself in the work that you're doing? So if you can start having a different dialogue with yourself, one of healing, one that's supportive, one that's honest with you, wonderful things can happen, man.
Oh man, this is like amazing. I love the words. I love it, Chris. And I think a lot of people listening can already apply this beautiful word from Chris, which obviously has changed him from being an amazing agency to what he's doing now. And Chris, a few just to finish it up, because I like to keep them short, but usually I keep them on half an hour, but this has gone on a little bit longer, which I'm super happy. Um, can you tell us a quick daily routine and one life hack, and we'll end up in here?
Okay, daily routine. All right. Daily routine. This is going to be very specific to me. I actually learned so much by reading the comments and the questions that people have. They're not all great questions and comments, but those spark new ideas because I'm looking for a problem to solve. I don't want to solve my own problem. I need to solve other people's problems. So when they say about social media, the word social's in it, and you have to have a conversation with people. And so I spend quite a bit of time, and people are shocked at how much time I spend doing this, but reading comments and responding to people. And when somebody asks a really good question and I have a really good response, guess what? That becomes content again. And so it's very generative, meaning that something that makes another thing that makes another thing, and it just keeps going, and it's awesome. So when you're able to ride that wave, you'll never run out of ideas. So that's what I would suggest, that if you guys want to grow on social media, be social, listen, engage, and learn. And you were saying something before, the best way to learn is to teach. And somebody introduced this expression to me about 2 weeks ago. And see, this is the beauty of listening. They said that there's an expression, Chris, and they said one teaches to learn. So one teaches to learn, meaning when you teach one person and there's a person in front of you, two people learn. The person that's your student and you learn. See, so it's like now I have a better expression than if you want to learn, teach. Now I say one teaches to learn. And then see, that's the wonderful gift of conversation. And the internet's very smart. There's always somebody who's smarter than you at something. And if they engage with your content, they teach you as well. So I embrace that. So life hack here.
I love it. I
Okay,
love it.
try to organize your life and your day around the purpose of what it is that you want to do to reduce context switching. I shared my calendar with people and they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So typically we would do a little bit of everything every single day. It's kind of like the way we're taught in school, math, English, science, history, all on the same day. And we're switching context all the time. Makes it really hard to focus. What I recommend you guys all do is this, is dedicate blocks of time to do tasks. So for me, Monday is my writing day. And it's specifically Monday because all weekend long, I've done nothing. And I feel like I need to express myself. So Monday's a great day to like start the week, write. Tuesday is for reading. I try and read a book. Or try to read something or watch videos. It's my learning day. Wednesdays is for meetings. Thursday and Friday is for production and the content team. Saturday's family day, whatever we want to do. There's no work. Sunday is self-care day. That's like, you know what? I want to sleep. I want to exercise. I want to go hiking. I want to put a mud mask on. Whatever it is I want to do, that's what I get to do. And I feel zero guilt about it.
I love, and Tim Ferriss talks about batching, and everyone is, Eric Sue does it very well as well. everyone. Chris, I will keep you for a few hours, but I think we'll have to wrap it up. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you very, very much. For everyone, if anyone wants to know about you, they can go to...
You can go to find us on podcasts, on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. We are everywhere, and on Facebook too. I'm at the Chris Doe, but I strongly encourage you guys to check out either our YouTube channel, which is the future, and also our podcast. We're up to like episode 70 now, and not a lot of people know about that. So check out our podcast.
Thank you very much, Chris, and best wishes, and see you soon, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, thank you very much. I think it's just been an amazing show. Chris Doe has teach us a lot. I really got spots here, and it's things that I really enjoy. And just to let you know, everyone, please, 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 well, thank you that you're here. Remember that you have Scrubbing paying the session, you have FindThatLead, and this is how we get our people to come. It's super simple. I go to any domain, find the lead, find the emails of anyone, and send them with love. Second thing I do is scrubbing. And with the scrubbing, I can automate LinkedIn. To everyone, please, please, please automate your LinkedIn every day. And you know, things like, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is to know amazing people, connect with everyone. Don't be sad. Don't be don't be shy to connect with people. And just to let you know, Chris Doe, I was following him on Instagram. I really like him. I sent a couple of amazing videos, and I said, Chris, can you be on the show? And he said yes immediately. And just for you, make sure you contact people every day. Send emails with love, send messages with love, connect with them. Create a community, because if you don't have a community, you just have a community. To everyone, I'm just going to ask you a question. Please go to scrubbing, scrap.in, and download and use LinkedIn to automate your sales and to help your business to grow. Go to FindThatLead.com and give us a review. Just say hi and share with your sales team. For me, this is all for today. It's been an amazing show. I wrote a lot of things, guys, this is just top. Please, please, please share with love, FindThatLead and Scrubbing. And thank you to everyone for being here until the end. And thank you, and see you soon. By the way, this is going to be recorded and it's going to be shared on FindThatLead in a few days. If you want to check it out, that will be amazing. Thank you. Bye-bye.